Good afternoon. This is Raymond De Leon. How's everybody doing? All right, let me rotate this screen. Everybody says I got a sideways screen. So I'm going to go ahead and try to hold this screen somewhat acceptable. If not, the content is on the screen. Just listen to it. The main goal of smooth operational law and all of its, processes that it does in protecting its intellectual property or its ability to exist is made with the intent to result into what you're looking at on screen right now. Our end goal is to get to that court judgment fund. The judgment fund pays court judgments and compromise settlements and lawsuits against the government. Federal agencies may ask the Bureau of Fiscal Services, of the Fiscal Service to pay from the judgment fund for most court judgments and Justice Department settlements of actual or imminent litigation against the government. Let me open that up. So now you see, it's on the fiscal.treasury.gov. So administrative claims. An agency may also ask for payment from the judgment fund if funds are not legally available to pay from the agency's own appropriations. Now, why do I bring that up first? The reason why I bring that up in the beginning of this conversation is because that is the sole goal of protecting your ass against any and all ridiculous infringements. I'm going to say that again. Any and all ridiculous infringements. Anytime somebody gets paid as a result of infringing on your name turned as a trademark, that is where you should end up. Now, I know that the title of this video is the part 2 to why the SPC process doesn't work. And I am going to go on a freaking rant because a lot of people hide those videos if they pop up in their feed like it's not viable. And the reason why they do is because it jeopardizes their look. I'm not here to try to jeopardize a particular individual's look. The only thing that I'm doing is showing what is applicable. I'm going to go through a number of processes today, not just the SPC, but we are going to retouch on the SPC process. And I am going to, for once and for all, put a can in it. The reason why I chose to do that today is also because, there's people who will look at my stuff and say, hey man, this doesn't vibe right. And they don't really understand what they're looking at when they look at me explaining my process. Okay, that's my sprinkler system in the back if you guys hear the sprinkler system going off. It's watering my grass. But the bottom line is that if you do not know what you are looking at when you look at the screen and you see my stuff, or if you're turned off by it, for the simple fact that you do not understand it or think that it conflicts with your ideology, the truth is, I don't care. I won't care. Because everything that I show must lead to the court judgment fund. It must lead to the court judgment fund. If I can't monetize my grievance in the sense of executing on behalf of what my interests are, then nothing else matters and it's all baloney. And usually everything else will get you time in jail. And I am trying to stop people from getting time in jail. There was a comment that I got. It said, they're not going to tell you the whole truth. Another comment that I got. Wikipedia is not the greatest source. Okay. Very well. Wikipedia might not always be perfect, but if you check the sources from the article, that doesn't mean that the article that you're reading can't be a viable one. This is only me reporting. It is the First Amendment in which I'm using to report to you, meaning through this screen, what exists. And it's all found in the public. So there's no practicing law without a license. There's no attorney-client relationship. So now that I started with that preface, the court judgment fund is the end game. I am going to now detonate nuclearly and blast a lot of these processes. Trigger warning. If you are one of those individuals who believe that you know everything, then don't listen. Don't listen. Maybe this is going to be an unpopular video. Don't care. But I'm going to report because it exists. So here we go. Is the United States a corporation? Let's look that up. Jesus, why did I drop that? All right. The answer is yes. (28 USC 3002-15A). Okay, United States means federal corporation. It also means agency, department, commission, board, or other entity of the United States, or an instrumentality of the United States. So is it a corporation? Yes, it's a fucking corporation. Okay, because it is a corporation, does that mean that you are not corporate? Yes, you can not be corporate, that's fine. Okay, so then why does the United States enforce its laws on you? The reason why it enforces its laws on you is because Congress got the delegation of authority under the first article of the Constitution. States enforce their authority because what's not in violation of the Constitution is under the 10th Amendment, which means states' rights. The people can decide. That's why from state to state you have issues with consistency of how law is applied. In one state, you can have this certain weapon. In another state, you can't have that certain weapon, and so on and so forth. Do not take your lack of understanding and confusion over legal subjects and try to deliberate it as if your confusion is correct. We need to start becoming a lot more responsible and start knowing. Here's the other deal. Jesus, I just dropped that. Now remember, I'm trying to get to the court judgment fund. Let's talk about citizenship nationality. I did a video on that. If you want to see the full video, it's on my YouTube. And I'm going to just highlight what video it is. It's the State Citizen National Let's Address It video. Okay? You see it? There you go. It's under how to set up an irrevocable trust. So here's my deal. In that video, long story short, I go through travel.state.gov and I literally read right off the screen renunciation of citizenship, what is state citizen national or state national or U.S. national for real, because that's the only one that exists. All of that stuff, I read it right there off the website. So anybody that says, oh, I'm just a state national. Well, yeah, if you're domiciled in the state, yeah, I mean, you're a resident of that state. And then you'll have people that'll say, I'm not a resident. I'm not a resident. I'm not res. I'm not res. Okay, fine. Listen, if you live in a home and that home gets mail and it has internet connections and service and shit like that, you're within the jurisdiction of the United States. You are not off grid. And even so, the territory is still part of the union. Now, a lot of people say, well, there's laws there and you don't know enough. Okay, fine. Let's cut all of that off the table. State Citizen National, SPC, and all these other things. I'm going to ask everybody one question. What law We're going to look at certain SPC facts and state citizen national passport facts and things like that. What law states that because you claim that you are not a U.S. citizen and because of that fact, you are not liable or subject to any laws of the United States? Guarantee you can't give me one. I fucking guarantee you cannot give me one. What law states that if you say you're not a U.S. citizen, you can't be held liable to the laws of the United States? Well, nobody's going to be able to give me one. What law says that if you're a U.S. national, you're not subject to the laws of the United States? What law states that the birth certificate is worth $100 million and that you can redeem it at will at age of majority? Anything, it doesn't even have to be one law. Give me at least an operating system that equates to that correctly, in which it is enforceable by laws, where it clearly expresses that. You do this, you can get your birth bond. There is none. Now let me show you what law says that you could end up at the court judgment fund office. Waiver of sovereign immunity by the United States. The United States and all agencies and instrumentalities thereof, and all individuals, firms, corporations, and persons acting for the United States and with the authorization and consent of the United States shall not be immune from suit in federal or state by any person, including any governmental or non-governmental entity. B is going to talk about the states, and C is going to talk about the remedies. Let's look at it. In a suit described in subsection A or B for violation described therein, remedies including remedies both at law and in equity are available for the violation to the same extent as such remedies are available for such a violation in a suit against any person other than the United States or any agency or instrumentality thereof, or any individual, firm, corporation of other person acting for the United States and with the authorization of the United States, or a state, instrumentality of a state, or officer or employee of a state, or instrumentality of a state acting in his or her official capacities, and then it gives you the remedies. Okay? And then it gives you the remedies. Now, what is the court judgment fund going to try to give you? Well, it's going to try to give you your profits and stuff. Hold on. Okay, now watch this. Treble damages. Let's go down to C. Statutory damages. If the court finds that the use of the counterfeit mark was willful, they'll pay you $2 million. Up to $2 million. That judgment fund is going to pay you up to $2 million. That's what the court judgment fund is going to do. So, with that being said, what law, again, states that because you change your citizenship or you expatriate or you renounce your U.S. citizenship or any of that, are you not liable to the United States? Now, let me give you something else. Ask every foreigner that jumps the gate, the fence on the southern border, or comes by boat or plane or whatever, that crosses into U.S. territory illegally, okay, or generally it should be at least like this, because we got to remember Joe Biden's president. So there's been a couple of shenanigans going on, or at least alleged shenanigans. But normally, if you even just walk in here, that means you didn't break anything other than the law of entry. You go to jail, or you get withheld, or you get arrested. Period. Period. So now I'm going to ask for the final time, give me the law that states that if you change your passport I want it in the comments. I bet you I won't get none. There will be nobody that could give me a law that specifically states, if you do this, you will not be subject to the laws of the United States, and you will be immune, and that law is as a result of any of these SPC processes. These are the negatives of the SPC. I'm going to give you the positives of the SPC and of all these processes. Now, let me show you another law of what happens when you start claiming things on federal documents like 1099A, 1099C, 1099OID. Let me show you what it says when you try to somehow get another passport that's kind of subject to scrutiny. And what I mean by subject to scrutiny means that you might have misspoken, even if it's by accident, on that document or on a communication in which any federal agency or any type of federal commerce in which the federal government has jurisdiction over it. So it might be a state act, but if the federal government has jurisdiction over it, and it's information, and you have falsified or withheld, this is the law that they hit you with. Title 18 U.S. Code, Section 1001, statements or entries. Except as otherwise provided in this section, whoever in any matter within the jurisdiction of the executive, legislative, or judicial branch of the government of the United States knowingly, willfully falsifies, conceals, or covers up by any trick, scheme, or device a material fact, makes materially false, fictitious, or fraudulent statements or representations, or makes or uses any false writing or document, knowing the same to contain any materially false, fictitious, or fraudulent statement or entry. So if you do not go to travel.state.gov and figure out how to actually go about renunciation of citizenship and all the crap that you need, because it's right there, and you don't do it properly with the immigration officers and all that, I'm telling you right now, not me, I ain't saying shit. I don't care if you fucking claimed you were from Peru and you were born in Kansas. Listen, I'm just saying, let's say you were to hit a tort claim directly, and you did it based on a local police officer that did violate you. And you have these paperworks in there. I'm not saying they will, because they might be interested in other shit. But all I'm saying is that they could, if any background check or complete analysis of who you are was to be done, and they found that you might have made some material false information. Now, I'm bringing this up because there's a lot of fucking processes that people do that only get them highlighted. And when it gets them highlighted, they don't even know the trouble they're in because it might be dormant. But anytime there's fraud, there's no statute of limitations. So it could be 50 years and you could be doing the right thing in your life. And because you sent the birth bond to the Treasury, you're fucked. Just because they decide. Now, why would they decide? I don't know. You know, there's this little viral thing going around, right? Okay, we're not going to get into it because I don't want my video to be like shadow banned or anything. But you know what I mean. And let's say you're like, hey, I just want to protect mine and my kids because I don't trust that stuff that they're trying to stuff us with. And just off of that, maybe they could say, well, let's find out which of our people actually have the medical blah, 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 and anybody else is considered dissidents. Okay, because I didn't get it, and I'm not getting it. But because there's a paper trail, you done fucked yourself. And now it seems like Raymond's mean, and he's cursing at you. Okay, listen. The law I gave you about the waiver of sovereign immunity and that you can get money and go to the court judgment fund, that exists. It tells you in the law. Yeah, you can get it. Yep. And what is that law for? You need to trademark your name and they can be considered an equal truth. Because, look, if you trademark it and you put it in an irrevocable trust, that is a separate legal distinct entity. I've been saying it every day. Your trustees can go after that and get an injunction on all these state actors who got paid for using your name. And it is a mark, so you're attacking the transaction, not attacking the state's ability to do law. And it's coming from a non-offending party. That trust is not the one who did whatever, and that could save your ass. If you did send a fucking birth bond or whatever with the copyright or whatever down to the fucking Treasury where now the Treasury and Secret Service are looking at you like, yeah, this guy's possible dissidents. And they know most of everybody isn't violent or anything like that. They know this. But we're living in weird globalistic times, killers. Weird globalistic times. And if the only reason why there's so much globalism is because of commerce and control, then you need to become a better negotiator on this platform to save your ass. And that includes, instead of wondering or making statements like, well, what are you talking about? Because I one time got off of a traffic ticket. Yeah, that one. Show me the other and the consistency. Because if you get an injunction off of that name versus that state, and you can push that through, guess what? The state is injuncted from using the fucking name. So every time it comes up, there's a problem. And your trust will never be signatory. Your trust is an entity just like their state. It's a sock puppet of belief. But there's laws that allow for the dead to deal with the dead, if you know what I mean. So I don't know where people get nervous, anxious. Oh, man, well, that didn't quite vibe with me. And why do I need to do this? Why do you need to do this? Listen, you don't need to do a goddamn thing. But what am I saying? I'm saying that if you want to know how remedy, like the redemption, the real way to redeem, the real redemption is done, I'm telling you, it's done by controlling your name as a trademark, not a common law copyright. So if you've gone around and you've actually filled out, let's say, papers, and it's been wronged, and you know what, I just showed you the law. It doesn't mean anybody's after you, so don't go paranoid slamming your head across the wall just because you heard this video. It's not it. There's no lies in this video. There's no direct individual that's being mentioned. All I'm saying is the following. You need to really rethink how much exposure you're getting involved in. Not just because you're talking to people, because of communicating on their instruments to them. That's where the problem is. I could sit here, listen, my black ass could sit here and claim that I am freaking the triple, the guys with the hoods on their heads. Okay? And look like I'm Dave Chappelle. Act like a Dave Chappelle in his comedy skit. Okay? It would be preposterous, right? Right? But I could say it, It's not a call to violence or anything, so nobody's really going to be interested. Nobody's in danger. There are real guys walking around with all kinds of marks on their faces, tattered. Talking about, like, you see it, you don't got to ask me. What I'm telling you is that when it comes to actually engaging and making communication, that is an act. Does my OJT create the understanding of how to preserve yourself in a situation? And when I mean preserve yourself, I got to choose my words carefully. Look, if you fucked up and you did that, then you might want some OJT from me is what I'm saying. Not because you're in any danger of them coming. It's just you might want the OJT just in case. See, when you look at smooth operational law, I address the situation of secured party creditor and things like that. But what I don't do is participate, and nor does my process participate in the same way as those processes. Are there certain similarities? Yes, there are. There are. But what you're not going to do is send a birth bond to the Treasury. What you're not going to do is walk in front of a judge and claim that you're just the man and expect some sort of resolution. That's not how it works. You're not going to go in front of a judge with a mantra like, no. When they breach your trademark and they're getting paid, there is no need for that mantra. There's just a cease and desist. And if they deny to cease and desist, then it is a willful infringement. And then you are able to get up to $2 million per infringing article and an injunction for the destruction of all infringing articles. So payment and destruction by felony. That's what that's what smooth operational law is. There's no pointing people on a legal theory. It exists. That's why I show it on screen. So if there's confusion, the individuals are obviously not looking at the video. That's what it is. Because you can't confuse what I put on screen when it's coming from shit like, I don't know, Cornell University. That's what I wanted to get out today. I had to do the rant. I had to do the rant because I've seen too many people do it. So now I'm going to talk normal because this is not going to be your average video. This is not going to be your average video. Now let me give you my empathetic side. Look, guys, the worst thing anybody wants is to have faith in an individual for a process, right? And to maybe understand the process or the reasoning. And then to find out that it's not legally backed. Like a lot of the operations that they're using are not controls. They're just speculations or theories. That's the worst. Because what happens is that then you end up getting tased on the side of the road and stuff like that. Me personally, I'll just okay, go in. Hey, what I do? Because I don't do anything. But what did I do? Okay, no war, pay bail. Okay, send that cease and desist, and we can get the process started and get that case smoked. It's not my fault that they didn't know that the law works like that, because it does, and I've showed it on screen. Most agents are not going to know those because these are mixed jurisdictional things, but they exist. And that's a lot better than somebody telling you to change your identity with federal government documents and then it coming back later to bite you, just like frivolous filings do so many times to people. So many times to people. So that's what this conversation is about. It's about bringing out the awareness. Now, as far as me caring, well, I only care as much as everybody else does. But, I just see a lot of denial once I show it on screen. And I'm like, why are they denying? And I don't answer most of them. I don't, because I don't have the energy. But I look at it and I go, well, is that a consensus? Is that what the majority of people think? Then they don't understand why I'm doing the videos. I'm doing the videos so people stop getting hurt. I'm doing the videos to show you actual legal basis. I'm doing the videos so that you could thrive. And because the positives of the Secured Party process is that the theory in itself is correct, but the steps that people tell you to take in order to complete the theory, it's incorrect. And therefore, the Secured Party Creditor process is, as it exists, flawed. As it exists, flawed and defunct. It's not functional. Let's get one more thing on. What else I got here? Whoops. I keep hitting that button. Oh, no. Oh, man. I'm showing all my stuff. There it is. I want you guys to look at the official responses. on Secured Party Creditor. The United States government has successfully prosecuted and convicted a number of redemption scheme participants. The convictions include forgery, providing false information, passing fictitious financial instruments, defrauding the United States, counterfeiting, impeding administration, filing false tax returns, money laundering, and wire fraud. Okay? And then it fails to discharge debt. Now imagine, you actually use the trademark on commercial entities. We just spoke that the United States is a corporation. They have consented that there is a waiver of sovereign immunity via Congress. They wrote the law. And they even told you what your remedies are. And that all of its agents can be sued as any other person who's not acting. That means the same result as suing an individual is the same ass whipping that the state agents are going to get. Imagine that you have a law that says that. Because I just showed it to you. Imagine that there's a law that actually says that. I know people are going to be like, oh shit, why does he keep repeating himself? Let me tell you why I keep repeating myself. Because I'm hoping that this video, I can keep it as a record so that I like freaking banging into everybody's head. That way, whenever I see something, I just give them a link and just say, look at this. Is there a law that says that you get to kick the government's ass for using your name as a trademark under Title 15, Section 1122? Yes. Yes. And they wrote it. None for birth bond. There are liabilities. What is the liability of suing the government over a trademark? How about that? Let's look at that. Let's reverse engineer it. What are the liabilities if I were to step to the government and sue them over my trademark? The answer is fucking nothing. Because that's why the statute is so unequivocal. There is zero liability for putting your name in an irrevocable trust as a trademark, running an actual legitimate business, and then suing the shit out of them every time they try to monetize it. Because the asset is preclusory. It is a violation of the Fifth Amendment takings clause for them to take your property and not give you just compensation. It is also only actionable if you do it willfully pursuant to Allen v. Cooper. They do it willfully pursuant to Allen v. Cooper. So you must give them the ability to stop. That means, the IRS is after me and they want XYZ amount of dollars and my trust sends them that because they're trying to accrue the XYZ amount of money. Hey, guess what? They're going to have to figure it out. Is it more expensive for me to go after this one individual who owes me $100,000 and possibly accrue a $2 million debt liability when they know that it's an operative under 15 U.S.C. 1122? So you cannot sit there and deny that they are in agreement with the fact that, well, as long as that trust is right, it's operating as an appropriate business trust, and they'll try to look at your taxes. So you got to do the right taxes with that 1041 on that business trust. But if that's okay, no criminal charges can handle, and they're at a strict liability. And just think about this. Imagine you had bad credit. You can get an injunction against the debt. You didn't, as an individual, do anything. But the trust can handle that. The trustees of the trust can handle that. And it's legal because they're not the ones liable for the debt. They're just wondering about the transaction. If you can do it to the state, then what the fuck is the bank? Now, am I preaching that you should do it? No. I'm just clarifying and reporting. This is op editorial. Okay? Or an op vlog. That's important. That distinction of can it operate and do we have the consent of the United States to do it? It's so vital. It's so vital. Listen, you could get punched in the mouth by a cop and it's up for discussion. But with this, it's about A and B. Prove your claim and that's it. And your claim can be proven as long as you've communicated your cease and desist and it's valid. Under the equal protections of the Constitution, it is valid. In every state, it is valid. It would literally be a deprivation of rights under color law for a state official to use it and assume it, meaning your trademark. So what do we want? What do people want to do? Think about it. What do they want to do? They're going to do what they do. But in my opinion on this thing, this is what I want to say all in all. All in all, if an individual on earth were to think that it is better to lie to the government to try to disguise who they are in their identity under the false pretense of a correction of status, then that motherfucker is his own motherfucking enemy. Period. And the emotions can flow as they want because, individuals aren't in jeopardy. But I'm just saying, for risk mitigation purposes and to be engaged in and try to fight for your rights, you are definitely giving up a lot of rights to everything by doing that. You're accruing liabilities that if the all-seeing eye of the fucking NSA and blah, blah, blah and bullshit want to fucking background check you, they're going to be like, yo, this dude gave us enough ammunition that we'll burn him and we'll keep him in this cage longer than he can fight for his own rights. And then after 20 to 30 years, because we think he's a liability and he's shown a propensity to fucking try to revolt, then politics plays in discretion. And they'll say, why don't we just give him the maximum and let him rot? Even though you didn't harm anybody, and it's disgusting. And I agree with you. But that's how motherfuckers play. There was a little boy out in Kenosha who saved his own life, and they called him a white supremacist after blasting. Nothing but white people. That's crazy. God bless that kid. So that's what I got for you. I hope that this video sits in, because it was a rant. And I hope I beat it in by showing the law. Now, I ask anybody, I ask you, not your opinion, not what you think. Don't give me a fucking, just a case where you try to play with it under misinterpretation. Because there are cases like that, okay? There are cases like the Clearfield Doctrine doesn't say what people think it says. You got a lot of people that say the Clearfield Doctrine says the states are subcorporation. No. That's not what it says. Or they'll try to say Hale versus Henkel and two types of citizenships and blah. Okay, really? Do we really need to parse it? Because you can do a Google search on it. Go get yourself the Cornell Review. Or one of these, U.S. Legal, or one of these, good websites. Let's say credible websites. And they will falcon shit all over what the other guy told you. Because the only reason why you echo chamber in that is because somebody put that into your fucking head. You got to read the entire case opinion. And then you'll get the proper context. Usurping some fucking position of... All right, guys. Yeah, it's still recording. I'm sorry about that. Usurping some position of greatness is not going to be all. I hope you guys enjoy this video. God bless you guys. Stay safe. All right. And if you guys want some OJT, on-the-job training of how to handle these situations, go ahead and hit me up. Okay. Some of you have been hitting me up, but we need to make this a thing for 2022. All right. God bless. Links are in the descriptions for contact.